All right. So, all you warriors out there. Uh, well, this is something new for me. I usually put up a few technical things, or I put up something like me doing one of my weapons works or whatever. But this is, something. I would teach classes. I tell my students these crazy stories that would happen, and they're like, "Is this real? Does this happen?" Believe it or not, I think the martial arts industry has the craziest stories out there. And I think that's because of just like maybe the type of people we attract or just anything that could happen that you hear in a martial arts studio that sounds outlandish. You can't make it up. It actually happened. And so I thought I'd document all these weird, crazy things that have happened to me teaching the martial arts. So I guess you can call this crazy martial arts stories. You could call this episode or part one. This will be my first one. And just give a background to me. I started out training at 13 years old, 1989. I was just before my 14th birthday. So I was born in 75. That helps. And, I got into Tang Sudo, which is kind of like a base art for a lot of people as they progress in the martial arts. And when I was 15, I started assisting. And so I was like a green belt. Red belt, I assisted more. So I was like 16 years old. By the time I was 17, I was kind of working one day at the studio as a volunteer I got my black belt. And then about 18 or so, I was officially hired at the studio. And man, if they could have told me what was going to happen then, I don't know if I would have took the job. I mean, so kind of a little background. I was originally from Homestead, Florida. Originally, I was born in Long Island, New York. We migrated to Florida because that's what everybody does in New York. They moved to Florida. And we ended up in the deep, deep, deep southern tip of Florida, like the end of Miami before you get to the Keys, a town called Homestead. At the time, it was like just had an air base. It was just nothing there. And um, that was the only thing to do was like Tang Sudo, and you have to drive everywhere to do everything else. Well, anyway, 92 comes around and we're getting busy, and the town's growing. And Hurricane Andrew, the worst storm that could ever happen, like happened, you know, and it destroyed, like there was nothing left. Look up the pictures on Google Images, put Homestead, Florida, Hurricane Andrew, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Like it was 150,000 people instantly homeless within 8 hours. That's how bad the storm was. And not to distract from Katrina, Katrina was, in the 2000s. And, if you do the disparity of the, it was equally as bad or worse because we didn't know what to do. We never had anything happen. So that kind of sets up what goes on. So I honestly thought I was going to be back at my studio on Monday. And sure enough, it wasn't. It was my last year of high school. I started we started 4 weeks late, like almost a month late, because we had no means. We had to kind of take care of things. So this whole thing with COVID and like kids being displaced with school, I'm kind of familiar with that. We just didn't have any Zoom in 1992. So anyway, studio reopens. Took till February, so August 24th till February 16th. So quite a bit of time, So about almost 6 months. It was a shocker, and I missed my black belt test because I wasn't training. I couldn't test, and anyway, got into it. Got my black belt. Area started regrowing, but it took a long time for that area to kind of stabilize. I'd say almost 10 years. Like early 2000s, it started to kind of be like, okay, this place is normal again, and we could deal with this. But what a mission it was to get there. But I started working at the studio, and the instructor, he was a character. That's a whole nother, like, most of my crazy stories are from him. I won't mention his name, but anything crazy that could happen, he was somehow involved. And he's kind of involved in this story too. And he was the senior student of the studio. Like you have the chief instructor, and the original studio, he was the guy who kind of taught for the chief instructor. He did majority of the classes, so the chief could only work on the black belts and seniors. And he was a good teacher, but he had some issues, like all of us. But he was definitely different from the chief. But he felt obligated to open the studio because the original instructor moved to New York because his wife, or then his ex-wife, took the kids, moved to New York, and he just didn't see a reason to stay in Florida, so he moved to New York. And this guy took over, and there was another teacher who worked with him, but he was kind of a flake, and I ended up taking that position. Okay, and then we had another assistant. It was a friend of mine. Okay, I'm not saying any names because I don't want, they might not want me to mention their names in this video. And we had this little studio. It was like 900 square feet. I kid you not, 1,100. But the actual training floor, like I joke in my current studio, or the one I'm rebuilding now, I think the entire studio fit in one of my mats. It was that small, but that was what was available. And we used to pack all the kids. And there was a one time that was really popular. It was like 4:45. And then there was the 5:30. So this was the 4:45 youth white belt class. And he didn't break down by age. It was ages 5 through 12. And we had 25 kids on an area. It wasn't even a mat. It was like carpet. That's why it stunk all the time. It was like I don't think it even was 400 square feet. It was tiny. We somehow managed to put 8 rows of kids in there. I don't know how we did it. And we used to walk around, and I used to kind of like have to shimmy through the kids to like fix their hands and their fighting stance or whatever. If you're an instructor or if you're an assistant, you're doing that a lot. The guy in front is teaching and you're in behind doing this. And that class had the worst kids. And we used to say, it must be the Hurricane Andrew kids, we used to joke that some of the good people moved away and what was left was like, yeesh, and these kids were just not great, I mean, I don't want to say that about kids, but it's been over 20 years. I can say that they were not nice. They were like, and the parents were not any better. And one day, it was like one of those typical days. It's like, here comes this class. We all kind of sighed. Here we go. And the chief instructor, bless him, he wouldn't let us do the warm-ups. Says, these kids are hard. I'm going to do the warm-ups. I'm going to do the teaching. I'm going to do everything. You guys just handle the back. And I was like, all right, cool. Teamwork. Here we go. And working, and I wasn't really feeling myself that day. I was really exhausted. I was in college, and it was my long college day. So I ended up coming there. I was only there for 2 hours, and I was like, damn, I'm already tired, and I haven't even started teaching yet. And I saw something on the floor. It was, it looked like a turd. And I don't know if anyone's ever had that happen in their studio, or maybe even a dance school. Like, you're just sitting there and there's a solid, like, turd, piece of crap right on the floor. And I'm thinking I might just be under the weather. Maybe I don't see what I see here. It can't be real. So I go in the bathroom, splash water on my face, and say, like, screw it. Nothing happened there. It's not what it is. And I heard through, because the walls were thin, I heard through that bathroom door and wall. And because it was like, if this was the bathroom, the studio was like right there. Like the mat was there, the training area was there. And you hear, whose brown Play-Doh is this? And I'm like, he did not say brown Play-Doh. There's no way he said that. And you could hear a faint in the back, like, don't touch it. It was like, okay, I'm going out. And I saw my buddy over there. He's looking at me, and we just pretend nothing happened, and we just kept going. But I saw some guilty kids. They were sitting there looking at me, and it's like they knew who it was. They didn't want to. And the parents were right there too. And you knew their parents knew it was their kid. They saw it roll out, and they didn't even bother to come over and pick it up and get a paper towel. So I was like, all right, whatever. I didn't pick it up. Well, day goes by, and it's like getting to 7 o'clock. We used to teach till almost like 9:30. It was crazy. That's what happens when you have a linear schedule. You don't have multiple areas and different instructors where you could bang out those classes. When you had, like, in those days, it was like we started at 4, and then we had like 8 o'clock was the last class, which you'll see another video of mine where I think 8 o'clock's too late. And man, we used to be there till almost 10 o'clock at night. It was ridiculous. So anyway, it's like the 7 p.m. class, and he's having his like dinner or whatever he's snacking on, and the chief instructor, and we're in his little office, which is a very tiny area. He actually had a boxed-in office with a window and the door, and we could see the training area. And he tells me, "Hey, David, I want you to go over there by where I have the rebreakable boards. There's a little something over there. But if I were you, I would get like a paper towel, like 20 or 30, like bunch them up, and like pick it up and take it out the back door through the dumpster, if you wouldn't mind." And I was like, "All right, cool. All right, I'll do it, I guess." And I mean, I'm not the lowest guy on the totem pole, but damn. And I go and I get the paper towels, and my buddy's running the class with the kids, and I just zip right through. So it's been about 2 hours since this incident. And I guess it was moved or something. I don't know how it moved over there. So I picked it up, and I go out the back door, and I throw it, and it was a turd. It was literally like a 2-inch turd, like it was big. And I go to him, and he looks at me as I walk in the office, and even though I use paper towels, I wash my hands thoroughly. I didn't want to he goes, and he's eating some Reese's Pieces cups, some Reese's cups. And he goes, he looks at me. I said, "Yes, sir. It was a turd." And he's like, I just touched that thing, and I'm eating my Pieces cup. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, this guy not only touched it, but hasn't washed his hands since then. And he's eating a Reese's cup. And I'm sitting here, and there's a decision to make. I've only been on the job for about less than a month. And it's like, do I want to keep working with these people and seeing how this works? I mean, the guy touched a turd, moved it, and didn't think twice about it, is eating his Reese's cup. It's like, how do you know what's on your hands is chocolate at this point? So that was like the first craziest thing that ever happened working in a martial arts studio to me. And, it's like things happen, right? And crap happens, right? As I say. So has anything like that happened to you? Let me know, and do me a favor, like, share, comment. Let me know what other crazy stories, if you have a similar one to your martial arts experience, right down the bottom of the comments. All right? Thanks, guys.